Welcome to Project Homeplace, a making of Des 515 animation. This is just a quick background into my design process. For more detail, please go to my blog at animationdes515.blogspot.com. The link should be below in the description. So after loads of research into Heaney's work, I settled on a Key Stage 3 English favourite, Midterm Break. It had the potential in my animation for depth, plot and emotive drive, all the things in which I was looking for in a Heaney piece. As you can see from my mood boards, setting the scene and knowing the era and the people was a major key starting point. It was the drive behind the character and set designs. As I developed the characters, I wanted to keep dominant features such as his curl of hair, his eyes and his nose. Otherwise, his age and his innocence were the force behind the design development process. Colour scheme wise, I kept the family members very alike, the mother and father for example. The reason the Heaney stayed predominantly green was because he was very proud of his Irish heritage. During the development stages, we took a trip to the Homeplace Centre in Balahi. I found this trip not overly beneficial to my own Seamus Heaney research, but it did allow me to get private family photos, which I'll then use later in my animation. While I was there, I took a quick trip down to the local graveyard to visit both Seamus and Christopher's graves. This gave me an idea for a final shot. It would portray the eternal love, the rest, the time gone by. But then I had to remember that this animation and its themes are based on 12-year-old Seamus Heaney's here and now grief and loss. So it was a good idea, but at the same time it didn't really suit this animation. Okay, so once research and characters and such were all done, it was time to storyboard. The poem itself is a storyboard, but in my opinion it can be cut into three: a start, middle and end, the journey, the wake and the realisation the next morning. As you can see, the storyboard chopped and changed well into the project until I was practically animating. It was very difficult to keep it respectful, but still, pushing those sensitive subjects through animation. Again, I get into more detail about this on the blog. Looking at his grieving and memory as a journey split into three really did help separate the whole 2 days of blur into key moments. The lonely boarding school, faceless neighbours driving him home, then he gets home and it's really alien, sensory overload with all the sorries, and then the harsh on his own reality the next day when his baby brother is really gone. When I was animating all of this, I wanted to keep his confusion. The drawing obviously had to be legible, but free drawn and creative, kind of like his writing. The colour scheme was to be rich and wholesome, but not exactly in your face with primary colours. Once animated, I was only a fraction done. Compositing was a major chunk of time. I wanted it to look the way he tells it. I wanted the viewer to know when, where and what all was happening without actually needing to read an explanation about it. Experimenting was a major part of that. I discussed this a lot more in the blogs, but in the end I took my favourite aspects and built on them. And in the end result you'll probably see just a wee motion blur, shading, feathering, a green which I wasn't 100% too sure on, and then each individual scene is saturated of colour. Audio was tricky. I didn't talk about it much in this video, but audio was to really push the main themes where visuals couldn't. I discussed this in my blogs, why I didn't use narrations and how I got the sounds, but together I'm very happy with the end result. If I had to discuss anything about the audio, it would be the opening titles. This was non-intentional audio. I discussed a wee bit in my blog about how I had difficulty getting certain audios, like the car movements. One I found online, it really shocked me, and it got me thinking that there could be this chilling, loud smash. However, it didn't really suit any of the scenes I already had. So I put it at the start to achieve the shock factor and get the emotive design off to a running start. But at the same time, I was a wee bit worried about, after weeks on a sensitive topic, that I'd become a wee bit desensitized to the subject. So I tested it out on a few peers and some previous graduates, and although it did have the shock factor that was definitely mentioned, it also apparently really suited the scene, so it got to stay. The compositing and the audio, I believe, were the biggest deciding factors in how the animation turned out. Now I know this all looks a little bit messy, but that's because in big projects I tend to like visual reminders, so I thought the best way to show you my design process was to actually show you my design process, and that's what you've been looking at.